Okay, let's talk about stage fright, because it's a real thing. And it's really hard to deal with, right? Stage fright is something that comes from, I think, experiences over and over again that traumatize us when we try to perform. Now, traumas can come from lots of different places, even if they aren't in performance, right? Traumas can come from somebody saying that you're not a good performer, or somebody saying that you sound funny when you talk on stage, or somebody who's a teacher who really has your best interest in mind saying, hey, stop moving your hand when you do that one thing. Or, hey, stop taking so many deep breaths whenever you're performing your monologue. There's so many things that can be called out that will traumatize us into thinking that we can't do things, or we shouldn't do things, or we can't do things in front of other people. It's really hard. And then on top of that, our body does this weird fight or flight thing, and it makes us believe that we're being attacked, because our whole body is like sending off messages like we're actually being attacked, right? Makes total sense why you would not want to go up on stage when you feel that emotion. Now, I'm going to say it again. I really think that butterflies in the stomach and sweaty palms are a great penultimate experience to going on stage. Because if you don't have some kind of butterflies or some kind of excitement or some kind of nervousness before you go on stage, then you don't care. Then it means that you just like, it ain't no thing. Which can be really, really helpful. But if you don't have some kind of like energy going through your body, sometimes it's hard to take that first step out. Because why would you? Because there's no impetus there. See that nervousness or the butterflies in the stomach as the fuse being lit. And no, you're not going to explode on stage, but explode into something awesome. Explode into something dynamic. Listen to your other performers on stage. React. Respond to them. Be excited to be a part of it. Even if you're the smallest part, even if you're tree number 3, right? It's about participating. It's about participating in a way that lights the fuse and lets the magic happen on stage. And that's a really neat feeling. But it's really hard to get there, right? So let's talk about how you actually get to a place where you are practicing being in front of others and performing in front of others. This is the way that I tell my students to practice combating stage fright. First of all, the biggest thing is you need to be able to practice your materials enough to the point where it is just in your body. Rote rehearsal. That means if you're singing a song, you need to know that song back, front, sideways, and if somebody told you to sing the second verse to the third verse, you would know how to do it immediately. If you know the material down pat, it's going to be really, really easy to be able to step in front of people and actually do it. And that locking up feeling where, oh, I forgot my words, isn't going to happen if you really, really practice it so many times that you can do it in your sleep, backwards, while skateboarding. Get my point? Practice it until you're sick of it. Truthfully, just practice it. Get it in your body, get it in your mind, memorize it. Use memory tricks, whatever works. Once you're at that stage, then ask one other person to listen to you. Sometimes it's harder just to rehearse in front of one person, right? But it's one other person. And choose that person carefully. That person can be one of your friends, maybe one of your parents, a sibling. But that person needs to be somebody that supports your performance and likes your performing. Meaning that they want you to win. They want you to succeed. And there's a difference between somebody that wants you to succeed and somebody that says they want you to succeed, right? We all know that friend who secretly talks behind your back or doesn't really want anybody else to succeed around them because they're miserable, right? They are not your first person to perform in front of. Another person to not perform in front of is a parent that just kind of wants you to do things their way and feels like perfection is really important and you need to be a product of that perfection. Don't perform in front of them first time, because that's not going to help. Maybe a sibling, but maybe that sibling's like 3 or 4, and so they don't really have a really long attention span. Don't perform in front of them, because they're not there to support you. They're just trying to figure out what the world looks like, right? Give yourself a fighting chance and pick somebody who's going to be on your side and who wants to sit there and listen. Once you're done performing, you ask them for positive feedback, meaning that you are not looking for constructive criticism. You are only looking for comments based on the things that they liked about the performance. And that's it. And that is your first stage. That is the first step towards combating stage fright. The second step, add 2 or 3 more people. Make one of them maybe just a neutral person, an acquaintance. And then sing again. Ask for positive reinforcement. No critiques, no criticisms. Do your thing. And you keep adding people or thinking about how many people you have in front of you. And you keep mixing up acquaintances, close friends, people that support you, to the point where you can perform in front of a mixed group of people, maybe some that you do, some that you don't know. And then the next step is to ask for constructive criticism. Now, this is not a crowd that you're picking at random. When you are asking for constructive criticism, you start again at 1 or 2 people. And you perform for mentors. You perform for people that know what they're talking about in the field, or people that you respect in the field, or that you know do this performing thing better than you or just as well. You are looking for constructive feedback from people who can actually move you forward in your performance. You get their feedback, right? And then you move on and you take it or you leave it. But hold that constructive feedback lightly. Do not put it into your deepest, darkest corners of your souls to come out later to traumatize you. I know it's easier said than done. So first you start out with just one person, constructive feedback, a few people, constructive feedback, acquaintances, constructive feedback. Then you go to a mentor, constructive criticism. Then you get your mixed group of people and start asking for constructive criticism. Now, when you are asking acquaintances and friends and family for constructive criticism, if you are getting a similar thing, a similar phrase or a similar note or something that people are always mentioning, then you start to look at changing that thing if you really need to. But if they're giving you mixed signals or, it was too this or it was too that or whatever, or your hair is too long, your hair is too short, your hair is in your face, or you move your arms too much, you don't move your arms enough. If you start getting conflicting phrases like that, it just means they don't know what else to say. And they're all focusing on something in particular that is from their sphere of knowledge. But that doesn't mean that you need to be affected by it. The whole point of doing all of these steps of performance is so that when you get on that stage in front of people, you've already done it. And you've already done it with tons more scrutiny. And that is how I believe you combat stage fright. Now go out and perform. Do it.